One of the great evils of the colonial age was the brazen robbery and shameless auction of African cultural artifacts. Several African countries suffered this humiliating and oppressive fate. Recently, however, France, Scotland, Germany, and some other colonial powers have begun to return some of these artifacts that were historically stolen. Here to discuss these developing trends are Prince Agatse Erejawa, a lawyer in economics, and a prince of the Great Benin Kingdom, and the immediate younger brother to His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Benin. It's a pleasure to have you with us, sir. Prince, good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. All right. Also on the show, we have the next person joining us is Professor Okpe Ookpe Jr. He's a professor of African history and the current Dean of Arts at the Federal University of Lafia and the national president of the Historical Society of Nigeria. He's supposed to be joining us from Makurdi. I'm told that he's having some network problem. He may join us with the show, and if he does, we'll have him. So, Prof, thank you. Also with me in the studio is Professor Abba Issa Tijani, the Director General, National Commission for Museums and Monuments. It is a pleasure to have you on the show. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. So let's start with the crown, with the prince, first of all. The return of these artifacts to Nigeria and to Benin Kingdom, is this enough in terms of restitution? Should we expect more? And what does this mean for the great Benin Kingdom? The prince, sir.
Thank you very much once again for inviting me, for having me. You know, a lot of history goes into this question. What happened in 1897 actually was really uncalled for. It was just a case of brigandage at best. It was a case of oppression, devastation that ended up in looting. And today, I guess those that were responsible for this act are coming full circle to understand and appreciate and honor to the heinous crime that was committed in Benin 1897 and in other parts of Africa. So we're glad at least that restitution is being discussed. We're glad that artifacts that were looted, stolen, are being returned to their place of origin. But the question is that sufficient? So here we're talking about the question of reparation. What is reparation? Reparation is, where you have to make amends for the wrong that you have committed, okay, by compensation or by rendering assistance to those against whom you committed these wrongs. So it is not quite sufficient to say the artifacts are going to be returned. Those that perpetrated these heinous crimes and those that even participated by acquiring these acts according to the open market or otherwise, I think they owe a duty. They owe a duty, a moral and ethical duty to see that some compensation is rendered, because you destroyed the place, you destroyed the civilization that was as old as yours. So how do you compensate for that? The Benin Empire was in trade relations with Europe long before the British came to Benin in 1897. There are records. Benin traded with the Portuguese, the Dutch were in Benin. These are all chronicled. And there was trade and harmony with these European economies. The British turned everything around because they wanted trade on their own terms. The massacre in Benin was premeditated. There was nothing like reprisal or anything like it. It was all premeditated. So now is the time for those who perpetrated this act to talk about reparation. Reparation is not a meaning. It is defined in the dictionary, it is defined in the lexicon. But they have to own up to their wrongdoing and find a way for restitution.
Okay, sir. I'll come back to you with another question. Professor Tijani, I'm going to ask you the two big questions. Number one, why now? You understand international politics of this degree. So why is it happening now? And what does this say about the state of European-African relations?
Well, you know, this issue of repatriation, as you know, started long ago.
Yeah.
And Nigeria made so many attempts in getting our looted artifacts repatriated to Nigeria, but has not been successful. So this time around, we have a different approach, an approach that we want to mutually benefit, but also let them recognize that what they have done, the wrongs they have done, they should understand it. It doesn't stand, it doesn't hold water in international, you know, jurisprudence or international, you know, collaboration and mutual, you know, understanding. So this also culminated with great awareness with the social media and a lot of this conversation going on across the world. People realize that, you know, they have been going to museums and recalling all that transpired in 1897 in Nigeria and also at different times in other African countries. So the citizens actually in those countries where these objects were being displayed, the looted objects are being displayed, started agitating and saying that I think it's the time now for their governments to do the right thing, and the right thing is to now repatriate these artifacts. And it